And a pleasant good evening to you from high atop Allen Fieldhouse for this 580 Sports Talk Kansas Jayhawk instant reaction on our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. That is at 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero hanging out with you on a Saturday following Kansas's 90-82 victory over BYU in the 1,000th game in the history of Allen Fieldhouse. This game has seen some great this venue rather, has seen some great teams, some great games, some great players. And game number 1,000 was billed as a matchup of maybe two of the best freshmen to ever step on the floor here. Darryn Peterson of Kansas, AJ Dybantsa for BYU. And to be frank, that was a bit of a letdown, that particular matchup, as Dybantsa struggled to get going, and Peterson left the game with 16 minutes and 56 seconds to play and never did return. Once again, dealing with those dreaded thigh cramps. You saw the heating pads on his thighs on the TV broadcast there down the stretch, as he could only watch as KU saw what had been a 20-point halftime lead whittled down to 4. The rivalry that ended up defining the second half, the battle that defined the second half, Richie Saunders against the constrictions of time. He very nearly brought BYU all the way back into this game with some unconscious second half shooting, had 24 of his career high 33 in the second half, but Kansas able to hold on. They got a clutch bucket laid from, well, who else? Melvin Council, and were able to hold on for the 8-point victory. If you enjoy this video content, I want to encourage you to like our Facebook page, WIBW News, subscribe to our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We stream lots of instant reaction videos like this one, and of course our live 580 Sports Talk program every weekday from 3 until 6 Central Time on these video channels. We'll start with the Peterson versus Dybantsa matchup because that's what everybody came to see. Two players who might go 1-2 in this coming summer's NBA draft. Two of the very best freshmen in America. They've proven it when they've been on the floor time and again. That caveat really only necessary for Darryn Peterson, of course, who's missed so much time with injury this season, but he came out and was spectacular in the first half of this game. 18 points on only 7 shots. He was hitting pull-up threes with hands in his face. He was hitting pull-up mid-range jumpers falling away with AJ Dybantsa's hand in his face. He was ripping and running, had 3 steals in the first half, and punctuated it all with an emphatic dunk in traffic. That was the explosion, the burst, the athleticism that we have just so rarely been able to see from Peterson this season due to the ongoing issues with the cramps and his hamstring, and most recently the ankle that he turned in the win over Colorado last Tuesday. And all signs were that Peterson was all systems go for this game, and it could not have looked better in the first half. I think that was the best basketball, all 94 feet, that we've seen Darryn Peterson play in a Jayhawk uniform. He, I think, took the marquee matchup personally, wanted to prove that the best NBA prospect in Allen Fieldhouse today was him. And then he left the game with 16:56 to play and didn't return. And there's nothing new to be said about that. It's just such a freaking bummer that he can't stay on the court for extended periods of time. We've really only seen him in crunch time once this year, and that was the Colorado game. That was after he tweaked his ankle, and KU held him out of the K-State game. Let's be honest, he could have played against K-State last Saturday. 1, KU didn't need him to beat the Wildcats, but 2, they wanted to make sure he was full go for this game. And in the first half, he was spectacular. You saw the total package, the shooting, the shot creation, the defense, the athleticism, the explosiveness. It was all there. And you see why he's so gifted and so highly thought of as a prospect that he didn't play anymore. And at this point, I think the only thing that is really left to say is you just feel cheated. You feel cheated as a fan of basketball not to get to see Darryn Peterson perform at his best. Whether you're a Jayhawk fan or not, you just feel cheated that you're only seeing it in fits and starts, glimpses, bits and pieces. And it's just unfair. It's cruel. You just hate it for him because you know he wants to be out there. But he certainly in the first half was the best player on the floor, and he helped Kansas build what was at one time a 21-point lead. Kansas was red hot from the field in that first half of basketball. They were 9 of 12 from behind the three-point arc. Obviously, water was going to end up finding its level, and KU was just 2 of 10 in the second half from deep, but and finished the game 11 for 22, and that's going to win Kansas a lot of basketball games. It's going to win any team a lot of games when you go 50% at that kind of volume from three. And a big help in that department, an unexpected big help, was Bryson Tiller. If not for the presence of Peterson and Dybantsa, Tiller would have been the highest touted freshman in this game, and we'd be talking about the Bryson Tiller game because this was the best game of his Kansas career. 21 points on 8 of 13 shooting, knocked down 3 threes, all of them coming in the first half. He was 3 for 3 from deep in the first half, 7 rebounds. He was terrific. In a game like this, when you have ranked team playing ranked team in a tough environment to play in like Allen Fieldhouse, oftentimes the matchup will come down not to what do the stars do, what do the complementary pieces do? And what do the guys beyond the complementary pieces end up giving you? For Kansas, you wouldn't call Bryson Tiller necessarily a complementary piece. If Peterson's the star, Melvin Council's more of a complementary piece. Flory Badunga is a complementary piece. And both played well. Those two combined for 31, and Council hit the big shot with about a minute to go to push the lead back to 6 after BYU had gotten it within 4. When Kansas just had no ideas on offense, and they needed somebody to just put the ball in the basket. Melvin Council did it with an off-balance mid-range with about a minute to play, and that helped KU seal it up. But a guy like Bryson Tiller playing at that level was crucial for Kansas in this game because you look at the complementary guys for BYU, they were really good. We talked about Saunders. He was incredible. Dybantsa got his in the second half, had 10 of his 17 in the second half. Rob Wright had 18. He's got the ball every possession. Those guys are going to get theirs. But you look at some of that supplemental, that third-tier scoring for BYU. Kennard Davis only had 2 points on 1 of 6 shooting and didn't make a 3. Keita had 9 points, and BYU only got 3 points from their bench. They were a very unlikely 3. Hamid Boop made a 3, his first 3 of his career. That was late in the game. That pulled it to 6 for BYU. But that's what happens in games like this sometimes. You go out on the road, and maybe you don't get as much from your fourth guy, your fifth guy, your bench, where when you're at home, you can count on those guys maybe playing a little better. They've got a comfort level. They get a lift from the energy of the crowd, and the crowd was unbelievable today. And that was a big difference maker in this game. Kansas getting what they got from Bryson Tiller, and BYU not getting really anything outside of their top 3. Mention Peterson. Let's talk about Dybantsa. First possession of the game, Flory Badunga is guarding AJ Dybantsa. And I thought to myself, is Kansas sure that that's what they want to do, is guard Dybantsa with Badunga? It ended up, as per usual, being a Bill Self masterstroke because Self made the calculation. Typically, big man guards big man. 5-man guards 5-man. Badunga would have guarded, in that case, Keita. But Bill Self made the calculation. Keita is not going to be a guy that they force it into inside, that they feed for baby hooks or jump shots or powering to the basket. Keita gets most of his stuff on second chances. He gets putbacks. He gets tip dunks. He gets things like that. He's not really going to be a scorer of his own volition. So Kansas decided they could live with Bryson Tiller guarding Keita and just playing on his back and boxing him out, making sure he couldn't have as much impact with second chance opportunities, and put Badunga, who moves well for a big man and is physical and strong, put him on Dybantsa and kept AJ from getting to his spots. AJ really good from close in, but he struggled from the mid-range in recent games, and he struggled from behind the arc. Only 31% from deep coming in, though he did knock down a pair of his 4 tries tonight. Those were shots KU was willing to live with. They didn't want to let him get to 5 feet, and they felt like Badunga's strength was the best case scenario, that and sending well-timed help defenders at Dybantsa, forcing him to give up the rock or pull up and try and shoot those contested mid-ranges that he hasn't really been good at in Big 12 play, and that was how they were able to limit his impact. It was a great coaching move by Bill Self, deciding to put Badunga on Dybantsa. But in the absence of a big game from Dybantsa, Richie Saunders was unbelievable. 33 points, new career high for him, had a double-double with 10 rebounds. And I'll be honest with you, the two teams came out of the locker room. It was a 20-point game. KU led 53-33 at the break. And the energy to start the second half was really not there. The air was a little bit out of the building. Sometimes that happens. Start second half, people are filing back into their seats, but the energy wasn't really there. And the first couple of possessions back and forth kind of felt like, oh, these look like two teams that might be playing out the string a little bit. Richie Saunders had no interest in playing out the string. That dude competed his tail off. I'm a big Richie Saunders fan. I like his game a lot. He's tough. He competes. Ethical hooper. Great shooter. And he was incredible. If not for Saunders, KU probably wins this game by 35. Saunders just would not let BYU go away. And he was the only reason that the Cougars were even in a position down the stretch to make this a game. Because, again, Dybantsa got his, and Rob Wright had 18, some good downhill drives late. But the supplemental scoring that BYU would typically lean on, or not lean on, but expect, they didn't get that. So they needed a big night from somebody, and it came from Saunders, and that really helped BYU stay in the game for the long haul. But Kansas found enough, even with Peterson out for the final 17 minutes of the game, with Elmarko Jackson out. He only played 4 minutes. He bumped into Dybantsa early and appeared to injure his knee, had a brace on his knee on the sideline. Haven't really heard anything definitive from Bill Self yet as to what that injury might be for Elmarko, but KU was down to 5 rotation guys and Jaden Dawson in the second half. And down the stretch, you could tell that was a group that didn't really have a lot of offensive solutions. KU went close to, I think, 7 minutes without a field goal down the stretch as BYU trimmed that lead, got it down to 4 points. But it was Council, as it always seems to be in the absence of Peterson, who came up with the big play and the big shot. A tough shot, mid-range jumper from the right angle that put Kansas back up by 6. Saunders missed at the other end. Jamari McDowell made 2 big free throws, and that helped KU really be able to see it out in the end. Hard-fought win for KU. They, again, do it without Peterson. The comfort level for this team now kind of feels like it's hit an equilibrium where it feels like they're equally comfortable playing with and without Peterson, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's good because, well, Peterson's availability has been so hit and miss. It's a bad thing because Peterson's availability has been so hit and miss, and he's one of the best players in America. And if you watch the first half, you saw it. You saw how friggin' good he is, and we only get to see it for 20 minutes at a time. We only got to see it for 20 minutes tonight. That sucks. We got cheated out of that, and that was really disappointing. But Kansas had enough thanks to their hot shooting in the first half, and they were able to hold on in the second half and pull out the victory. Great crowd here. This was the 1,000th game. I mentioned at the top, 1,000 games all time in Allen Fieldhouse. I've been to 14 of them. I was thinking back, and I went through and I counted. I've been here 14 times, plus a couple of exhibitions with Washburn. So I guess I've been to 16. I don't know if they count those officially, though. But anyway, 1,000 official KU men's basketball games here at Allen Fieldhouse. KU all-time now 878 and 122 at the Fog. That's pretty darn good. They hold on for the 8-point win. I think for Kansas, the big thing you take away again is Bryson Tiller was outstanding. And if you can get an impact from Tiller every night, you might not need it every night, but if he's going to shoot with confidence out of the corner like that, if he's going to drive with confidence like that, if he's going to defend the way that he did, that raises his team's ceiling. Tiller playing like that is a big deal for the Jayhawks if they could get that moving forward. I think if you're BYU, you probably feel like this was a game where you can hold your head high because of the second half rally, and it really was only necessary because KU was uncharacteristically, for any team, hot from 3-point range in the first half. BYU's the best second half team in America with net rating offensively and defensively, the best second half team in America. They got to play a little better in the first 20 minutes of games. I'm sure their head coach Kevin Young would agree, but they have a ton of fight. They have guys like Saunders who show the way. They're tough to guard. They guard tough. They got nothing to be ashamed of. And another good BYU contingent. I have to mention that because I mentioned it after my reaction video when K-State played BYU at home earlier in this month. And I made a joking reference about BYU having a bunch of fans there and wondering, did they bus them in? Did they fly them in? And BYU fans informing me that they roll pretty deep in the Midwest. So I learned a little something there, and there was a good contingent of BYU fans. They didn't have much to cheer about for most of the game, but saw a lot of them walking around the concourse. And I just want to say real quick, I love having BYU in our league. I really, really am grateful to have BYU in the Big 12 Conference. I'm grateful to have athletic programs that have raised the caliber of the revenue sports in this league. And I'm grateful to have traveling fan bases that make the atmospheres all the better for their presence at visiting venues. It's great to have BYU in this league. I just got to say that. But this joint was jumping for the Jayhawks, and they are able to hold on down the stretch for an 8-point win. No rest for the weary. Quick turnaround for the Jayhawks. Another tough one Monday night. Big Monday in Lubbock against Texas Tech on deck. An 8 p.m. tip on Monday night. KU wins at 90-82. We'll have more to say about that and a preview of that big Monday game against the Red Raiders on Monday's edition of 580 Sports Talk. Again, hope you'll join me from 3 to 6 Central Time, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, 580WIBW.com, and these same video channels. Please like and subscribe. Like the Facebook page, WIBW News. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. I got to get on home and get my kiddo to bed. You guys have a great night and a great rest of your weekend. And thanks again for checking out this Jayhawk Instant Reaction. Hi to Mark, both Marks in the live chat, hanging out and chatting some hoops this evening in the YouTube live chat. Appreciate everybody who watched the video here on this Jayhawk Instant Reaction from 580 Sports Talk.